Good evening, everyone. Let everyone get logged in here. You just press the recording button and then I'll do introductions. All right. Good evening. I'm Jennifer O'Connell, and I'm the Executive Director for the Down Syndrome Network of Arizona. And we are super pleased this evening to have two guests from Phoenix Children's, Dr. Dannah Raz and Bianca Cardiel. And we're talking about water safety and Down syndrome this evening. And this is all possible not only due to Phoenix Children's, but also due to its generosity from SRP. So thank you both Phoenix Children's and thank you SRP. We'll just do a brief introduction of Dr. Raz and Bianca, and then I think Bianca is going to kick us off from there. So Bianca is an injury prevention specialist at Phoenix Children's, and she enjoys being in the community teaching families about water safety and connecting them to appropriate resources. So, Bianca, you want to share your slides and get us started on injury prevention? And you're muted.
There we go.
I'm going to mute myself. Okay, thanks, Bianca. Welcome.
Yes, thank you all so much. And thank you for inviting us. This is a privilege for us and a great opportunity here as from Phoenix Children's. As mentioned, I am an injury prevention specialist. Here we have, you can see in the back here, I have a picture of my great team. We all do injury prevention. That's all we do all day. Anything your children are here for due to an injury, whether it's falling off a bike, you had they fell off the top bunk, any injuries that you may bring your child in, this is what we do. We really try to prevent injuries in the community, and our community work is quite extensive. We serve the entire state of Arizona, as far as you can think of, north, south, east, and west. We are there, and we have a whole team. I specifically work in water safety, and I really enjoy this because it's really an activity that you love to do with your children in the summer, and we all love to enjoy. However, we do see quite of the drowning rates high in Arizona. This is just some data that I would like to present to you, and we see in the US, there from the 1 to 4 year olds, we see this rate, which is 2.6. And for many, many years, unfortunately, Arizona has had just about double the national rate of drownings in Arizona specifically. So our drownings are quite high, and we see that because we have such a dense population in dense city. We see it. I know if you're from Arizona, I am a native here from Arizona, so I see that the city is growing so fast, and wherever you see there's construction. So we see that as the city grows, there's more people, there's more children, and there's more pools. Here the pool count is very great. If you don't have a pool yourself, you will find a place to swim, whether it be someone's home, a family member, apartment complexes here, they will have a pool. So if you don't have a pool, you'll find a place to swim. And this is why we see quite a bit of drowning rates high in unfenced pools. Each city has a different ordinance or a different code or different laws, you can say. For example, in the early 2000s, we see that Sun City, if you're familiar with the valley in Sun City, which is kind of west, at one point their pool ordinance was if you have spiky vegetation around the pool, you're meeting the criteria of having a secure pool fence or pool barrier. And so we see that cactuses are not going to prevent children from getting inside the pool, but Tempe and Gilbert are not required to have pool fences, and we're seeing that not a cohesive pool barrier ordinance has caused higher drowning rate in the city. So we're seeing that also the climate. Here it gets, but maybe 2 days ago we saw the climate change, and it got really, really hot. What is the one activity you would really want to enjoy in a hot weather is enjoying the pool. And we see that maybe 3-4 months out of the year, we see a lot of people out, and whether it's in the public pool, as I mentioned, if you don't have a pool, you'll find a place. So whether it's in the public pool, at a friend's house, an apartment building, or a community pool, you'll find a place. And this is a great activity to enjoy with your children. But especially in a hot climate like here in Arizona, we review a lot of the drownings that happen here in Arizona, and what we can say is that drownings are predictable. Most drownings happen children the ages of 1 to 4, and children ages 1 to 4, drownings are the leading cause across the United States, and as I mentioned, here drowning rates double in Arizona, and we see them happening in apartment complexes or in single-family homes. When we review a lot of these drownings, we see that most of the time supervision is absent, and we'll review what proper supervision looks like. And with proper supervision, drownings are preventable. Drownings happen very quickly and are very silent. This is why not always listening will help. Looking at the child and having proper supervision is important. Having a pool boss card, which is something that you can have, and I have actually one right here. You maybe have seen it, maybe they get called water watcher tags. This here is something tangible and something a pool boss should wear, or a supervisor, which should be an adult older than 18. So anyone in supervision will have this, or the pool boss. And this person, again, should be an adult, should stay arm's reach from the child, looking at the face. The reason why looking at the face is important, the face of the children in the pool. If you're in a public pool and there are multiple children in a public pool, maybe you have a 4-year-old boy with swim trunks on, and they're playing in front of you, and there's 3 other little boys that look similar to him. You may be supervising the wrong child. This is why looking at their face is very important. Also, if they're in the pool, you don't know if the water level is here or the water level is here. So looking at the face is very important. Keep them arm's reach apart. Again, drownings happen silently. They don't happen typically what you would see in the movies, which is a dramatic splashing, calling out for help, especially for a child ages 1 to 4, right? So we look at the listening doesn't always work, and looking at their face is important. Adding enough adults. If you have one adult at the pool, keep pool time short. Always take an additional adult so you can put someone else in proper supervision. If you need a little bit of time, you need to step away, whether it's to get a snack, some water. And also, we recommend that it be 15-minute shifts. So I can be in charge for 15 minutes, and then I'll need a break. I can hand this off to Dr. Raz and putting her in as the supervisor boss of the pool. We also see that reducing stress increases safety. So just an example, if during pool parties, we see it can be a little bit distracting, right? There's so much going on, and avoiding distractions really help us be the best supervisor or a better pool boss. Have a good handoff. Okay, so if we can reduce, maybe I'm getting a little overwhelmed because my 2-year-old, 3-year-old, or maybe a child is not in the best behavior and is causing maybe some ruckus in the pool, and I'm becoming a little bit stressed. I'm going to hand this off to Dr. Raz and tell her, Dr. Raz, I need a minute. This is getting a little bit too much for me. I'm going to step away. Cell phone use can reduce the stress. I know that when I have my cell phone with me and I see my mom's call, I'm going to answer that. And what's going to happen? I'm going to become distracted. Or maybe there's a text message from someone. It can also be work. It can be someone that you're waiting for at the pool party. And you're going to cause to be distracted if you look down at your phone. So really, cell phone should be off. If you need to step away or there's distraction or you become stressed around the pool, make sure you put someone else in charge. You can hand this off to someone else. But again, older than 18, a child should never be put in another child's supervision. So make sure it's an adult. Also want to talk about proper supervision and also swim lessons, how they go hand on hand. So swim lessons should never replace or change the level of supervision. And again, I'm going to say it one more time. Swim lessons should never replace supervision. Okay, the same supervision should be present with or without swim lessons. When we look at children in this high risk age group, which is 1 through 4, we see that children do not have instinctive swim skills. We see that because we see a lot of these uh, baby rescue. I don't know if you're all familiar with those videos, is when the baby's put in the pool and they have to swim up and their little heads are floating. We see that because they've gone through frequent and regular swim lessons. And a lot of people just see these videos and believe that babies instinctively know how to swim. They actually do not. We just have to keep in mind that with or without swim lessons, even after regular swim lessons, children can fail or forget to swim and are still at high risk of drowning. It's still common for children with swim lessons to forget. And then let's think about it. I actually have a colleague, he tells me he has 3 girls, and he said that he would take his 3 girls to swim lessons every summer because they could forget. And he mentioned that every year he would take them to sign them up for swim lessons and take them to, I don't remember what facility, but he would take them every summer. And here in Arizona, again, the climate calls for the pool time and swim time. Let's think about the off seasons, or when people don't swim. Even though we still see drownings and throughout the winter, a lot of these children are not getting that frequent swim lessons like they did in the summer. So let's say we end the swim season of what people may believe is, and then they wait till the next summer. When we talk about these children, do you think they're forgetting? It could happen, right? And we should expect that every time. That's why supervision should be present with or without swim skills. And also, let's talk about non-swim times. We talk about what people say, oh, like drownings happen very often now in the summer. And actually, they happen all year round. We see drownings happen in November, December, January, what people call the winter months or the off months. We see them all the time because when we talk about non-swim times or non-scheduled swim times, so if we're all around Thanksgiving, right? It's Thanksgiving or any family occasion in the winter. We're all inside the home. When we talk about the high risk age group, which is 1 to 4, a child can get out of the house and go into the pool, because we know that the children at this age group do not recognize danger. They don't know that they should have an adult present or being supervised around the pool, and they can get into the pool without anybody noticing. So we see non-swim times or non-scheduled swim times. We see a lot of children being unsupervised, and it happens. This is why swim lessons should never be replaced, or it should complement supervision, never replace it. And also take into consider that even though with swim times, even when there's not swim times or not supervised times where a child is, we should always put things into place that we can avoid children getting into the swimming pool, which is childproofing, in which we'll further get a little bit more detail in. So very important. And also swim lessons for adults. We talk about children receiving swim lessons, but sometimes a lot of adults may not be comfortable. Maybe they went to swim lessons earlier when they were younger and they haven't taken a course. very important that for you to take and be comfortable, whatever you feel comfortable with, maybe water, like a comforting class, maybe getting familiar again. What are your abilities? What are your barriers in the pool as well? Maybe you can be with them in the shallow water, but maybe not in the deep water. So also take into consideration your swim skills and lessons for you if needed, and maybe a little refresher course. So when we talk about children 1 to 4, again, highest risk age group for drownings, should we expect them to break the rules? To think about it, and we should, right? Is it expected for them to always remember how to swim, or should we maybe think, are they going to panic in the pool? Expect it and plan for it. For children to break the rules, to panic in the water, or forget how to swim. So this is why supervision is very important. We link child development into what is normal for a child. Think about your child's physical abilities, their mental abilities, and their swim skills. Supervision should always be needed. Again, swim skills should never replace supervision. Just remember that swim skills complement supervision. So we should always expect for a child to panic and due to their abilities, and also think about the child's development. Are they going to recognize danger? Do they know that the pool is dangerous for them, or that if they jump in, they're going to remember how to swim? You shouldn't expect it for a child every single time, especially for the 1 to 4 age group, which is highest at risk. We also discussed briefly with child proofing earlier. What we say is non-swim times are not structured times. So as a mother, we understand that you have 1,000,001 things to do every single day. And we know that supervision isn't present 100% of the time. It's nearly impossible. So a few things for us to understand is that we're not always going to be there for the children. So this is why it's important to childproof. We've seen where door alarms could have saved a child's life. And a door alarm can be something very simple in your back door that doesn't require any screws. It can be battery powered and can set an alarm or warn you when a child has opened the back door. This will warn you when you're not outside with the children around the pool in a scheduled swim time, that children are going to your back door, and you notify, okay, the child is outside. If you don't have a pool fence, very important for you to attend or hear when you get notified, and to know where your children's at. So a door alarm is something that you can get, or actually we have a 1-hour workshop. It's called Playing It Safe, and that you can register on if you log on to our Phoenix Children's website. And if you sign up, you get a door alarm, and you'll take a small water safety class. Or if you ever need anything, any resources like a door alarm or something for your home, please feel free to reach out. We can connect you to some resources. Also, a safe backyard always has a working pool fence. If you live in an apartment complex and you see that the door is left open because there's a rock, because someone's going in and out, make sure you close it. We've seen too many drownings where a door is left open because someone was going in and out and a child unsupervised got into the pool. So having a working pool fence should be wrought iron or metal, have a self-closing, self-latching door, and the door should always be closed when the pool is not in use and locked. Children, think about children going over and under. I know a lot of you have children, most of you, if not all of you, have children, and you know that if a child wants to get in somewhere, they'll find a way to get in. So very important for you to realize and go around the fence and look where a child cannot go over, under, or through the fence. And I want you to think about, what are the barriers to making your home safe? And not only think about the back door, but think about other entries that a child can go into the backyard, into the pool. It can be a side gate, it can be a garage door, it can be, maybe there's a master bedroom or another bedroom that has also a back door to the backyard that could lead into the pool. Or if you live in an apartment complex, maybe it's your front door. that can lead that you can put a door alarm or a lock to prevent children from getting access to the pool unsupervised. When we look at devices, there's so many on the market nowadays that are available for swim time. You've seen some floaties, which you see the child here in the yellow, the ones that go on the arm. These you just blow up with air and you put them on a child. These are not recommended, and they've never been studied. When I next time you see floaties like these, I want you to think about that these are toys and not a safety device, as well as puddle jumpers. As you see this little girl, it goes around her chest, and it also has arm floaties as well, and it buckles with has one buckle in the back of her. And these are called puddle jumpers, which are very popular and can sometimes be a little bit more comfortable for children to wear. And they also have their favorite character on. So maybe they'll be drawn to it. But again, floaties and puddle jumpers are not recommended. They've never been studied, so we don't know if they reduce drowning risk. So I want you to think about these as a toy or a comfort device, but not a safety device. What we do recommend is a U.S. Coast Guard life jacket. This life jacket here, as you can see, has a few features. It does have a U.S. Coast Guard stamp on it, and it should always be in the inside of the life jacket. We recommend you buying a U.S. Coast Guard life jacket as well. If you look at it in a life jacket, in the back of it, it's going to have the weight of the child. It's the weight that the life jacket is for. So for example, there's some that go up to 30 pounds, and then we have 32 to 55 pounds, and then we have 55 pounds to 75 pounds. A life jacket is not a one size fits all, and you should never buy a life jacket that your child is going to fit into. It should always be an appropriate weight to your children's current weight. So if your child is 35 pounds, you're going to buy the 35 that's appropriate for 35 pounds. If your child is 31 pounds, you're going to get the 32 pounds. So you should always get what's appropriate for the child's current weight. It should be labeled in the inside of the life jacket. Again, you're looking for the appropriate weight for the child, and you having it say it's U.S. Coast Guard approved. So it should be used the entire time you and your child are around the pool. And again, I'm going to say it, life jackets should complement supervision, never replace supervision. Okay, it's very similar to swim lessons. Again, nothing should ever replace supervision. Also, if you see here in the life jacket, one thing I want you to take into to think about when you're using a life jacket. I know sometimes you see it, it can be uncomfortable for your children, but we recommend you using all the features. If it has one zipper and 3 buckles, please use the zipper and the 3 buckles. So make sure you use everything on the life jacket for it to be an appropriate fit. And lastly, as I mentioned earlier, reducing stress increases safety. So when we think about us as a family and as you as a parent, we all need help sometimes. So I would love for you, someone around, hopefully I can get a volunteer to maybe think about and ask or give an example when you accepted help. And if someone can come on off mute and tell me, but I know it can be very hard sometimes when was the last time we accepted help, and it can be very difficult. But please share someone if is
Bianca,
able to.
I don't know if they're allowed to, just because it's set up as a webinar, but
Okay.
we do have the Q&A and we do have the chat open. So if anybody wanted to put something in the chat or
Yeah.
the Q&A, that's definitely open.
Yes, please do, and put in the chat if you've had when you accepted help. And this really gets your thoughts going on when you did. And perhaps I have a lot of times where families are like, you're right, I haven't accepted help in a long time. accepting help can be as easy as maybe asking your neighbor whose child goes to the same school and perhaps maybe even in the same class can pick up your child from school because you're busy making dinner. Maybe your child has had the stomach flu for 3 days and it's been really hard for you to get up and make a warm meal. And someone's offering you a warm meal and bringing you maybe some soup. As easily as accepting that really reduces our stress level and makes us a better um, reduces our stress, makes us better as a family unit, and then also everyone else around us is going to feel when your stress level goes down. So maybe it's babysitting, accepting babysitting for a few minutes while you run to the store, or even accepting hand-me-downs. So if you'd like, please share when was the last time you accepted help, and I think that would really help a lot of people realize that if they haven't asked for help, it's okay asking for help. Sometimes all families need help. Sometimes, and
I
it
would
can be.
have to say, I'll interrupt again. This is Jennifer.
Yeah, go ahead.
First of all, I accepted help. I was worried because I didn't have care for Liam, my son with Down syndrome, while I was on this webinar. So grandma is over. I asked for help. I think that our families, especially all the caregivers of of our loved ones with Down syndrome, we're pretty good asking for help. I mean, that's my guess, but this we definitely, you know, ask. So mm.
Yes, and thank you for sharing. And um, it asking for help. We know it takes an army, and we can't always be everywhere we want to be 100% of the time. So asking for help. I know some of you maybe you don't enjoy for help. I personally don't. I'm still working on it every single day. And sometimes I know my stress level is high, and maybe it's better when someone asks me for help accepting it. And also, how do you feel when you last helped someone? You feel maybe that you were supporting someone and you valued someone valued you as well. That warm, fuzzy feeling that we get when we help others, other people are also receiving that when they're helping you. So, receiving help um, is also something that we all, again, and thank you for sharing, we're getting better at. And as we grow and we learn about ourselves, we know when our stress level is high and we know when to ask for help. Accepting help can mean less stress. So hopefully you find your support system. Everyone's support system is different. It can be babysitting. Maybe it's your local family resource center. Maybe it's a Down syndrome network. Everyone has their support system. It looks different for everyone. And just know that go to somewhere where you feel supported, understood, and valued. And always ask for help. And again, if you have any questions in regards to any water safety resources that I can provide, please feel free to email us at watersafety@phoenixchildrens.com, and I'm more than happy to answer any questions.
Oh, thank you so much, Bianca. That was fantastic.
Thank you.
I have a question, and anybody, please, again, feel free to put your questions in the Q&A. What's the thought on the pool covers? Are they considered safe? Or does it always have to be a fence?
Good question. We recommend a fence because pool covers children can still get in the pool.
Okay.
A fence keeps them out of the pool completely. So wrought iron, mesh fence, if you guys are not familiar with it, it's kind of like those like a screen door
Mm-hmm.
type of material. That is not recommended, especially in a hot state where anything that's outside, the sun will tear apart. They can rot, they can tear. If you have animals, they can tear through it. So a fence is recommended versus a wrought iron fencing versus a cover, a mesh fence. But again, a mesh fence is better than no fence. So we recommend a fence strongly, wrought iron preferably.
Perfect. We have one question here. Dry drowning and bathtub safety in any of your courses. You address
That's a
dry
great
drowning.
question.
Uh-huh.
Do you want me to answer it now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Please.
Bathtub, they're not as common. The most common here in Arizona are happening in swimming pools. We don't see bathtub very often. If it's bathtub, it's usually very younger children. And also, um, again, it's just water. Drownings happen in swimming pools very often, especially for children, because there's a lot more. Child-proofing your bathroom is also something that you can attend to. But again, very similar in regards to bathtub safety supervision. Again, supervision should always be present. Other children, we see too many drownings happen where another child, specifically in bathtubs, another child is supervising another child. So supervising adult supervision 100% of the time is very important in regards to bathtub safety. Dry
Great.
drowning, this one's one to tackle. Dry drowning, I'm just going to start off by saying it's a complete myth due to the AAP. It is said that is a complete myth. It was due to a media coverage from a case in the early 2000s where a child who had gone swimming earlier that day was having some health issues, wasn't feeling good, and was put to sleep. Mom went to go check on the child, saw that he was unresponsive,
Mm,
and the media took it into completely different, wrong, just wrong interpretation and saying it was dry drowning. And this was national news. And so a lot of people were concerned, and a lot of people got to know what dry drowning is, apparently. But it's a complete myth because, and I'm sure Dr. Raz can go a little bit more into detail, but it is believed that the water the child drinks in the pool is stored in the body and later on put into the child's lungs and can drown. That's a complete myth. The AAP later came up with a statement saying it's a complete myth, but there's so much misinformation in regards to dry drowning. You can go, if any of you are have Pinterest, you can search it, and there's multiple articles, and there's so much misinformation out there. It's completely false. Again, if you see your child having perhaps right after the pool, is not feeling good, pale, has purple lips, please seek medical attention. But again, you're going to see those reactions happen close or if not immediately after the pool, and seek medical attention. But perhaps of drinking water and later seeing a reaction later that day, and that's called dry drowning, that's a complete myth.
Okay. Yeah, one of our, we have here, my son was in a bathtub and breathed in a large amount of water in front of me and was choking severely. I read online that I was supposed to watch him for hours later to ensure he didn't have lasting breathing problems. If someone inhales a large amount of water, is there anything to do, or do they just cough it out?
If you see like a prolonged where your child is not feeling good, because seek medical attention. But in regards that it's going to be dry drowning, that's a complete myth. The AAP gave a statement that no, there's no such
Okay.
thing as dry drowning.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. And then, yeah, to keep the questions going, we will have a session after Dr. Raz's presentation too, to allow for more Q&A. One of the big things that surprised me when we did the marketing for this was that there was more than 500,000 pools here in Arizona. Like, that just surprised me so much. And that basically that it was I think it was one pool to every 13 people. And just that was a big eye opener for me. So thank you, Bianca. I'll go ahead and introduce Dr. Raz. So I have the great pleasure of introducing Dr. Raz. Dr. Dannah Raz, she's a developmental pediatrician at Phoenix Children's Hospital, a graduate of the University of Arizona College of Medicine in Tucson. She completed her pediatric residency at Phoenix Children's and Maricopa Medical Center. She left Arizona briefly to pursue fellowship in development and behavioral pediatrics at the Children's Hospital of Colorado. And during her fellowship, Dr. Raz also completed her master's in public health at the University of Colorado School of Public Health. She's happy to be back here home in Arizona, caring for children in developmental pediatrics at Phoenix Children's. She's a special interest in particular in providing comprehensive care to children with neurodevelopmental and cognitive disabilities. She is the Chief Section of Developmental Pediatrics, Director of the Pediatric Down Syndrome Clinic and Fragile X Clinic, and is one of the physicians in the neonatal early childhood screening or NEST clinic. When she's not at work, she enjoys spending time outside with her husband and 2 daughters and her dog. And in addition to doing all of that, she also serves as a board member here at Down Syndrome Network. And we're very grateful to have her on our board. So welcome, Dr. Raz.
Thank you. I will go ahead and share my screen. Thank you, Jennifer and Down Syndrome Network. And thank you, Bianca, for giving us a presentation about water safety. I'm so grateful to be able to have the injury prevention specialists almost basically across the way from where I work because they give us such valuable information. So I wanted to specifically talk about water safety in children with Down syndrome. And I kind of wanted to first piggyback off of what Bianca was talking about in the question we had. I think at the end of the day, you know, we just really emphasize water safety in children and proper supervision. And if there's ever any time when your child is around water and something happens and you're concerned about how they look, it's important to call your pediatrician or take your child to seek emergency care if necessary. So I think that really is kind of what I would take home for that, is if there's ever concerns or if there's ever an emergency, please make sure to seek a care immediately. But just to kind of, again, in another way, piggyback off of what Bianca was talking about, you know, she really spoke a lot to the importance of water safety for all kids. And there's so much of what she talked about that's really, you know, everything that she talked about is applicable for our kids with Down syndrome. But I want to highlight a little bit more of things to think about for our kids with Down syndrome. I just have a couple disclosures. It's completely unrelated to the talk, but I have to disclose them. So water safety is critical for all children. And it's important, to be more aware of the needs specific to children with Down syndrome as they relate to water safety, and I'll be going over that. So the benefits of water activities for our kids with Down syndrome: it is a low impact form of exercise. It can help improve physical fitness, coordination, and strength. There are wonderful opportunities for social interaction, enjoyment. So, you know, and Bianca talked about this. We live in Arizona. Water is something that everybody enjoys here, getting into the pool. So our goals are not to avoid water, but to ensure safety so that we can enjoy the benefits of water by making sure everybody's safe. So specific things to consider for water safety for our kids and teens and young adults with Down syndrome. One is low muscle tone and their complex medical needs. So this can make safety in swimming safety around water more complex. So again, swimming and swimming lessons are important, but it certainly should be something that your child's medical specialists and providers are aware of and provide clearance if needed, if your child has complex medical needs. And then cognitive delays can make it more important to consider water safety, or consider it outside of this really kind of critical age range of 1 to 4 for our kids with Down syndrome. So there is no specific data on statistics for drowning in children with Down syndrome. We know that drowning rates in Arizona are much higher, as Bianca had mentioned, due to the reasons that she had outlined. But for children with cognitive and intellectual delays, they are at a heightened risk of drowning outside of that critical 1 to 4 age range because of a variety of reasons. So they can struggle to understand and remember those safety rules that we talked to them about. So remembering that they need to have an adult around water, or not to go near the water unless an adult is there. So they may struggle with that. They may struggle to react appropriately in an emergency. We may see some fearlessness that can impact the understanding of the dangers of water. And so these are all very important to think about for our kids with Down syndrome, where these recommendations by our injury prevention specialists really pertains to ages outside of that critical age range. And I think, you know, Bianca and the injury prevention specialist, I apologize for speaking to you, they always talk about supervision at all ages. And I think that's just important to know, right? There's nothing that can take the place of good and attentive supervision around the water. And that's something that our families with Down syndrome should take very seriously at all ages. Pools are, our highest risk, but, just as the question was earlier, bathtubs are something to be mindful of, right? We don't want kids unsupervised around bathtubs or any body of water that could be harmful. So again, just reiterating these water safety measures, because I don't think we can say them enough. Supervision, supervision, supervision. So there should always be a responsible adult actively watching when a child with Down syndrome is in or around the water. And those pool boss cards are awesome. It assigns a person or more than one person to know that I am the one that needs to be focused. I can't have my attention taken away by, other people, by my phone, by anything else. And that if I need that time, I will pass this on so the next person knows that they need to be the one paying attention. So swim lessons. Now, as Bianca mentioned, swim lessons do not replace supervision. But for our kids with special needs with Down syndrome, they can begin to learn some of those crucial steps, such as floating, safe entry and exit from water, that can complement that supervision, right? That can help us give them those safety steps to help keep them safe. Again, not to replace that supervision, but complement it. The appropriate flotation devices that Bianca reviewed. Again, I think my mouth will fall off saying it, not to replace the supervision. And then the pool areas that are secured with fences and self-latching gates to prevent unsupervised access. Unfortunately, as Bianca mentioned, we see one is way too many drownings that occur because of poorly secured pools. So again, everything that Bianca talked about, is relevant to all of our children with Down syndrome. We just want to make sure to have heightened safety awareness because of those cognitive delays. Kids that are at chronological older age may not be able to implement some of those safety rules that we would hope that we want to have around the water. But with the right safety measures, children with Down syndrome can safely enjoy the physical and social benefits of water activities. We just want to make sure there's effective supervision, constant supervision, and using the safety devices with the supervision to make sure that we're being safe. I did want to mention specifically about, and I'll stop sharing now because we can open up to questions, but the other thing, and Bianca, you can, jump into with those covers that Jennifer had requested. The other part about that is, there's user errors, right? So you have to take it off to go back in the pool, which means you have to remember to put it back on. And while they're not, I wouldn't even consider them appropriate safety measures. It's, even at the best, there's still errors where someone may not put it back on appropriately, or a child may be able to get under it. So we know that the wrought iron gates, fences are with self-closing latches are really the safest for protection.
Oh, thank you so much. We don't have any questions in Q&A right now. Q&A. Does anybody out there have any questions? It's a great time to ask. We are recording this webinar, so we will have it posted on our YouTube channel and on our website under our webinar section on our website. As soon as we get it uploaded, we will also, Bianca, maybe you could forward that link. I could have the link posted on the website for the water safety class, and people can share this with others that missed the live session. What else? Anything else we can think of? I'm very grateful. One of the benefits of the generosity of the SRP grant is that through a partnership with Connectability and the East Valley, where we were offering 150 swim lessons to children with Down syndrome this summer with adaptive swim coaches. So we were super grateful for these swim lessons and access to good adaptive swim coaches. Okay, great. I'm gonna share this with everyone, this link. Any other comments, questions? If not, oh wait, looks like we do have a question that came in. One of you mentioned getting swim training for special needs kids. Where do I get those and how much do they cost? So, connectability is one option. There's also, I know my son Liam, who has both Down syndrome and autism. He's 13. He's been at swim lessons with JR's swim school. They have been fantastic. And Liam is on an ESA program, so we actually pay for his swim lessons through his empowerment scholarship. And they're held at Hubbard Swim School. I don't know if Bianca or Dr. Raz have any other ideas besides connectability and JR's and Hubbard. But we could also list some of these on the website.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I've heard of other kind of more of these places around the valley. We just want to make sure that whoever is providing the swim lessons is trained in providing lessons for people with special needs and disabilities, to make sure they're adequately trained to know how to handle their different, providing lessons in a way that would be meaningful for the child.
Absolutely. Yeah, so look for and ask for their certifications. I know, for the coach that teaches Liam, I've asked for those certifications. Of course, ESA asks for them. We had asked for all of them when we did these lessons with connectability. But we could also put a list together. And then in terms of cost, I think they kind of range. Usually one-on-one lessons are a little expensive. They run anywhere from like $50 to $100 per lesson. And then some of them will be 30-minute lesson, others are an hour lesson. I find personally Liam did really well with the 30-minute lessons to start, and then we worked up over time to have more time. And also this first time we've been in swim lessons now for a year and a half. He's doing Special Olympics swim. And that's really exciting. So you could also look at your Special Olympics, and sometimes they start out with kind of beginning swimmers. Now, they don't give swim lessons, but when your child's at a certain point, they could join Special Olympics swim as well. A question just came in. Do we have to be careful with aspiration during swimming and swim lessons? Anything we need to be aware of if lessons with neurotypical peers? Who wants to take that, Dr. Raz?
So, I think it's all really dependent on the child. And so it'd hard to give a general an answer. I think for children with, just how do I best answer that? It's very individualized, right? A child may have higher risk of aspiration that would make the consideration for swim lessons different than for other children. I'd say in a general sense, a person using a swim instructor who's trained in kids with special needs would know what to do and how to get them accustomed to swimming and putting their head underwater in a way that would be safe. So I'd say in a general sense, using a certified instructor is the best way to kind of work through that. If your child has special complex medical needs that would put them at higher risk of aspiration, certainly talking to their medical specialist who manages that to help them work through ways to kind of mitigate that through the lesson would be helpful. But I would say those would be the two kind of routes I would go. And Bianca looks like she's about to say something. So I'll let her go in a second, but I'm going to read the question. I wouldn't say, and again, just kind of going back to what I said earlier, if something happens while a child's in the water where there is concern for how they're doing, right? They're coming up and they're not themselves, they're not acting their typical selves, seek medical attention right away. But I think in a general sense, if we're doing it through lessons and kids are being appropriately supervised, then outside of, special cases or special circumstances, just, making sure there's adequate supervision and appropriate swim lessons. Bianca, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I agree. Adequate supervision and also taking your child wherever they feel comfortable. Again, it can, you said it, so couldn't agree more. And just proper supervision. Again, if there's any issue with the child, you'll be the first to know, and that's that same exact. So you're able to ask for assistance or call if there's an emergency.
And I think, you know, we give these lessons and we certainly go through the risks and some of the scary stuff, but you know, swimming is fun, right? We all do swimming. We certainly want everyone to be able to enjoy swimming. We just really emphasize the safety because swimming can be safe as long as children are supervised appropriately. There's appropriate safety, you know, safety precautions in place to avoid drownings because they are preventable. But swimming, you know, we don't want to say don't enjoy swimming. Swimming is fun, just do it safely. And so, you know, we don't want you guys to be afraid of swimming. We just want you to know to do it safely and cautiously.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Bianca. Thank you, Dr. Raz. Thank you, everyone who attended live. We do have 2 quick questions for you here at the end. We want to see if this webinar was informative. So if you could just take a moment and let us know. Great. Looks like we got lots of strongly agree and agree. Thank you. And then there's one other question we have. Here were the results. And there's one other question. Whoops. The next question we have for everyone is, after this webinar, right, we're here at the end of the webinar, do you have a plan for your child or children to be safe around water? All right, great. We have a plan. Good work, Dr. Raz and Bianca. People have plans. So it's what one of our goals were. So we'll go ahead and post. The other thing I thought we could share on the website is just social stories. I know at least you know, Liam loves his social stories on how to be a good friend and you know how to be safe around water. So I have a couple examples of those that I can post as well on the webinar site, along with the link Phoenix Children that I just shared in the chat. So all this will be posted. So if you have a friend that missed it tonight, you'll be able to see the link in the next few days. So good evening, everyone, and happy summer, happy swimming.